Perhaps you've hit a plateau that has you asking, is this it? Have you accomplished all you've set out to do in life and are not feeling as fulfilled as you thought you would? It is normal at midlife to reassess what's working for you and what's not. It's also normal to want to reclaim your time, your energy, and your joy. Let's make the best out of the second half of our lives by having more fun, experiencing more peace, and feeling more joy. If any of this resonates with you, then this podcast is for you. I'm Megan Bayless Bartley. Now let's get ready to shift our shit. Hello, welcome back. Episode 8, part 2 with Rob Giltner. He is going to tell us about his own experience with therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come about, going to therapy or getting your own therapy or?
Yeah. So early on, and unfortunately it was like forced.
Yeah.
I got forced,
Yeah.
but parents,
kid, yeah.
hey, you need to kind of come here. And
How old were you?
I think the first time, I want to say maybe around somewhere between 10 to 12.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I mentioned the last one, I'm blind a lot, like that type of memory. I don't know.
Right.
It's actually better to go by grades. So
What
I think
grade
like 5th grade. So what age is that?
You'd be 10
Okay.
to 11.
Good.
Yeah.
So right on the number.
Okay.
Awesome.
And forced,
like, hey, you should go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
My parents separated around that then and said, hey, you kind of need to talk to anybody. But unfortunately, a lot of my therapy experiences weren't good ones.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it actually makes me have like a pet peeve that I probably should work on.
Yeah. Should.
Can work on. I know I could work on.
Thank you.
But is when clients come to see us and they share, gosh, my last therapist did this X, Y, and Z, that may be something we may not have done.
Mm-hmm.
It upsets me, or they share, like, yeah, it wasn't a great experience. So I think I've talked about this to you, maybe to a fault, at the end of almost every session, especially with couples, I say, like, look, if you don't like this process, how I go about it, you are not stuck, because 100%. I don't want clients to have kind of my experience. And it's nothing against the therapist that I worked with. It's just kind of didn't align, or
it's a fit thing.
It is,
like it's just a fit thing.
Yeah, they didn't do anything unethical or anything like that. It's all just kind of a fit.
Or if you're ready to be there or not.
Right, timing is everything with it.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
If you're forced as a kid, it's probably not going to be a great experience, which is why, when parents do, okay, listeners, you're going to be parents a lot of times, is like, don't force your kid to go to therapy.
Right.
Like, I mean, there might be times where you think your kid needs therapy, if there's big things going on. Kid might not really need therapy, unless kid is showing actual negative things that we need to figure out or whatever. Parents are really the first line of defense when it comes to talking through things with kids and being open and all that. Like, I feel like a lot of times, back in the day when I did do work with quote unquote kids, it was a lot of parent stuff, and then just coaching the parent to do certain things.
Yeah.
Which comes up a lot in couples therapy.
Sure, it does.
How do we talk to our kid about this? And then you encourage them, well, try these things, or and then the kid might not actually need the therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I do want to echo something. I think it's similar to what Keith talked about, but one of the privileges maybe of doing what we do is you get to be around a lot of therapists. And so, really benefited in school from the supervisors who are therapists. And while they're not doing therapy from you, when they are assisting you, sometimes you can leave with that and then work on it with yourself. And kind of, so that is something that I feel like I did really well. And then after, and working with you and here, and we have wonderful therapists around us. So while it's not, no one's my individual therapy, and we don't really do therapy with each other, obviously, but sometimes the trance of like support and healing can be transferred to people in the mindfulness center.
And I think we are fairly therapeutic with each other. Like we're very compassionate with one another. We're wanting to hear, like, concerned, like, how are you doing? Like, is there anything I need to be updated about? Like, and it comes from a very genuine, heartfelt place. Like, there's an honesty and an authentic, can't say it.
Mhm.
Authenticity.
I think so. I think that's it.
Okay. So I think there's a energy about it, right?
Mhm.
Like, and that's
Mhm.
why I loved the idea of creating the mindfulness center is having it have a certain level of synergy,
Mhm.
even though, like you've said before, like we don't spend a lot of time together as therapists, but
Mhm.
when we do see each other, we know that there's like a positive regard for
Mhm.
each other.
Yes.
You know,
Mhm.
it's not a competitive environment. It's not a like, you know, who's out to get who
Right.
or whatever. It's more like, how can we help or how can we support?
Mhm. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. Okay, so as a kid, you went, didn't have a great experience.
Right.
Did you have any better experience with therapy? Was that your only time with therapy?
No, I kind of went to a therapist / like sports psychologist. Yeah. Again, not helpful. Again, he didn't do anything wrong. It just it was
Did you want to go?
No,
or did
I
your
was there for the
parents?
wrong
Okay,
reason.
okay.
Yeah, sometimes parents can overinvest themselves and coaches into someone's life, and so yeah, more like an assessment. And I think I do respect the therapist. Yeah, kind of recommended, hey, I don't think Rob needs to come back.
Awesome.
So like it was helpful in that way, but
Yeah.
yes, again, somewhere you didn't kind of need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I eventually kind of found a therapist that was helpful, and that's something that is sparing, kind of what sparingly. See, I'm
Sparingly, yeah.
sparingly,
Yeah.
So kind of come and go, but really, I just get echo around the mindfulness center. It's again, no one's the therapist, but just it kind of rubs off.
Yes.
But I do have something because we all go through
Yeah.
different seasons, and
Yeah.
some seasons in life are challenging, and so I do have
100%.
support system.
Yes.
Maybe when that next season
Yes.
comes.
Well, and maybe you did some premarital therapy
Mhm.
before you went to got married.
Got married in the Catholic Church, so kind of had to.
You had to,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
right,
Mhm.
right. And so from a priest, or you did it with the deacons or something?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And that was, I got to tell you, really hard.
Yeah, tell us a little, if you
Yeah.
want to share anything, because I've heard these stories where
Mhm.
it's like what the priest says to the, couple or whatever.
Right.
It's a little bit like,
well, and Catholicism's great. My wife's Catholic.
Yeah.
Louisville's a very Catholic town.
Yep.
If, in my opinion, if there was one growth area, it'd be less rigidity, so less a little bit of the kind of judgment.
Yes.
So that is just like that rubs up again, maybe against my kind of a belief, but it's just hard because the whole time, and I haven't done this with any other therapist, but not the whole time, but I'm wondering, it's like, that's not something I would go about it. Because I'm so passionate couples therapy, and but I did, and I would, sat in my hands and very respectful. Listened. But it was, I may have gone about it. Would have gone about it differently. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I heard a story recently. I'll just throw this out there because I'm sure there's people listening who may have experienced this, but where the priest told the wife, he's gonna have a higher libido than you, and so your job is to have sex whenever he wants.
Oh my gosh!
Which I was horrified.
That's like, I've heard a lot of things similar. That's for those pet peeves I talk about. I just.
Yes.
Oh man.
How would you talk about libido in a session with a couple?
Oh gosh. Okay. So
this is a good one because this will be juicy.
And so just to help give me kind of context, it'd be like one partner has higher libido, and that partner is complaining.
The partner's complaining that maybe the other person let's just say, because it's not always this way, but the man has the higher libido.
Mm-hmm.
The woman is, maybe they have a couple kids, she's feeling kind of tired, and, doesn't want to, she doesn't want to have sex as much as he wants to. She's interested in sex, but, feeling like at the end of the day, she's tired, and she's like, this is one more thing I have to do or whatever. So.
Well, first, I would hope, and we want to assess, is like, well, can they talk about that? It's something hard to talk about. One, sometimes like sex can be taboo in some relationships, but then also, speaking of emotionally charged events, like libido can be a want/need.
Yes.
And it's closer in the need for some individuals.
Yes.
The persuading and then defending of your own reality, the need and want, can be very challenging and damaging within communication. And so there could be, like, I'm persuading my partner, this is what I need. And if they're not having the same reality, the same experience, then they're more likely to defend, withdraw, protect themselves. And then you get stuck. you're kind of in gridlock. So I
Yes.
really want to assess, like, can we talk about it? Because another key thing in relationships that can go well is, can we accept our partner's influence? And
Yes.
influence doesn't have to be, okay, everything that they want, I'm going to give them.
Right.
But so much of couples work is, one, taking care of each other. So you care for each other, but can you take care for each other?
Yes.
And part of that is that teamwork. How do we work together
Yes.
to get to a time and a place when it is the right time to maybe solve,
Yes.
or I'm missing my words, but what's
Sure.
compromise? You know, there's
Yes.
many levels of what a solution could look like.
Right.
So that's kind of my long-winded place of where we'd start.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that it seems like that comes up a lot with couples.
Oh, sure.
Where they're just, which is normal to
Mhm.
not have the same libido because you're two separate people,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And you're experiencing two separate things based on your lifespan development. So
Mhm.
where you all used to be, you know,
Mhm.
sexually intimate, you know, early on in your relationship likely is going to change over the years.
Yeah, and sex is so fragile.
Yeah.
You know, you think just the act of it, of, you know, if we're naked when we're doing it,
Right.
that is a very fragile, exposed kind of position.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable.
Yeah.
So vulnerable, I think, is the word I
Yeah.
want to use.
Yeah.
And it's also vulnerable to have effects of emotionally charged events. Stress can affect performance.
Yes.
Safety can prevent,
Yes.
you know, the need to make, the need, I would say,
Yes.
that we can't maybe be vulnerable, and our
Yeah.
emotions can feel like that. So it's so fragile too. And so the fragility, like anything that's fragile, can be hard to
Yes.
move and
Yes.
to
Delicate.
it's
Use
very, you gotta be very
delicate.
cautious
How
and
you-
careful.
yes.
And it's hard to be constantly cautious.
Yeah.
And so I just, throw that out there.
Well, and you know, I remember in grad school we learned, or I, you know, still sticks with me 22 years later, that the largest sex organ is the brain.
Hmm.
You know, that how we think about it, what we're feeling about it, all the things. It's not necessarily like the actual sex organs.
Mhm.
It's the brain and how stress affects that, and you know, maybe hormonally, as
Mhm.
far as like, you know, menopause or aging or
Mhm.
whatever, like it's all gonna have,
Right.
you know, different effects on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we got way off topic.
We did.
This being about you and your therapy.
Right. Yeah.
But it's good.
Mhm.
It's informative, and I'm
Right.
sure our listeners will appreciate us being open and honest to be able to have these conversations.
Right. Again, because it can be a hard subject matter to talk about, but you know, sex is common in marriages,
Yes.
relationships. So
well, and I actually think it is very uncommon for, you know, people who are not therapists
Mhm.
to talk about sex
Sure.
as openly and honestly in their relationship
Mhm.
as maybe us therapists, where we're like, we know the value of this, you know, we know that
Mhm.
there's a value to being open and honest with our partners about
Yeah.
this, you know.
And this is maybe where that sensitivity comes up. I just want to clarify, common in the sense of,
Oh yes,
you may have had sex with your partner, not common as it needs to be, like the rigidity, like needs to be every day, every week, you know.
Yes.
But a healthy sex life for a relationship depends on what the relationship kind of needs.
What needs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't
Yes.
like the comparisons, rigidity, those,
Right.
you know, the bubblegum TikToks. You need to have sex with your partner every 10 minutes. Like, no, like that.
Yes.
There's no need. It's what works for one
Right.
couple works for another.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So normalcy, that kind of, I don't like the normal thing, kind of weirds me out too, because, you know, there's maybe not something normal. It's like
Right.
normal within the context of your relationship.
Exactly.
Of like, when you were first together, it was likely one thing, you
Mhm.
know, and then as you know, progressed in your relationship, got married, had kids if you did,
Mhm.
you know, had stressors or whatever, it might change over time.
And I want to speak on that, if you don't mind,
Yes, of
or something
course.
similar,
Okay.
because I know we don't have a lot of time
Sure.
left, but I think it's kind of very important. I kind of conceptualize love is a feeling. So we love each other. You and your partner may love each other.
Yes.
That's a feeling. It's also an ability, or can be.
Yes.
And we
Action.
tend to be more able earlier in the influence, or early in the relationship, for a number of possible factors. One is, you have that like dopamine dump. You're excited, and so you naturally invest yourself into your partner.
Mhm.
You're curious. gosh, who is this person?
Excited.
And that,
Yeah.
imagine what curiosity does to relationship. So you wanting to know who they are, and then you can kind of dream together early in a relationship. You create shared meaning. We're going on dates. We're trying new things. I'm getting outside my comfort zone with this person. My wife and I have been to a pumpkin patch one time, and we did it early in the relationship. So you're creating shared meaning. You're finding what you both can align on. There's this exploration, and that can unfortunately be easier to do because typically we might, in certain stages in life, not have kids or work, but maybe we do. But anyway, there's just so many factors that can make it easier to have our ability higher early in a relationship. And then as things maybe get normalized or our attention is required to other places, it's challenging. And so that's part of what couples therapy can help with. Just, I think, kind of like giving the oil change example or your tires, is that it kind of helps us increase or get back to the ability as we already maybe have.
Yes. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, this has been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's gone by very quickly. Is there anything else you want our listeners to know, or potential clients? Rob is very much in high demand right now. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
You've accomplished quite a lot this year. And is there anything that you would say else?
Yeah, there's a few things, especially if we're putting this on the bio page. Welcome if you're watching it. Yeah, hopefully we'll talk to you soon. But as a couple, and I say this jokingly, but we get shit done. So this my couples therapy work is not for everybody, and I tell them that because some couples need a therapist for every session. Maybe if it's in that maintenance mode of we're going to come and the therapist is going to ask, oh, what do you want to talk about today? And you hash it out, and you can do it clearly, and then you leave.
Right.
My work maybe is for couples who've experienced a lot of loss. We just can't communicate at all, or we feel like roommates. We are not maybe. Our abilities are really kind of depleted. And so this is for couples who are maybe wanting to connect, reconnect, repair, heal in that way.
Right.
And so we work, and it is work.
Yes, it is.
In a very kind of sensitive, and we talked about sensitivity and compassionate, understanding way, but we work, especially early on, to develop a plan in a very collaborative way. My work is very collaborative and best aligns in what the couple is needing when they're coming into the session. There's also this ability of this a condition-like behavior. So we got to get our reps in outside of the therapist session. And so like exercising the body, you go to the gym, you do your 3 reps of 10 kind of each exercise. There's work that I try to collaborate with outside of the session that we practice the reps. And some couples need accountability, so I provide that accountability. We hit measurables. We have measurable goals. This is the way we can measure things are improving. And if it's not, then we look at that problem in a very kind of why aren't we hitting it in a way. And all that, again, it sounds very stern and rigid, but if you read my bio, a lot of the work is very we include art, like music. We conceptualize things in a different way. So
metaphors.
Metaphor. So it's soft and it's comforting, it's healing, because one thing I really think I'm sensitive to is making sure 24/7 everybody in the session is as comfortable as possible. Now, we can't always be comfortable because we have to get outside and we're going to hear things. But one thing we develop is this tolerance for our partner's discomfort. My partner's in pain, and I know I'm long-winded, but the tolerance can be, maybe if I lied to my wife, I have shame. And so that shame makes me want to fix, apologize, overdo it. But then my wife's not feeling heard, maybe understood. It's about me then. Or maybe, again, I get so defensive, I listen and I get triggered. I have this emotional charged response. So developing this tolerance to have difficult conversations, but also to sit with our partner's discomfort. So we're not always going to be comfortable. I'm more of making sure everybody is feeling heard, seen, respect, and loved in session. So long-winded, but that is maybe a quick little snapshot. And also within that work, the couples will get things that are tangible.
Yes.
Something they can
100%.
leave with.
Tools for their toolbox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tools for the toolbox.
Awesome.
So wanted to throw that out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you, Rob, for being here today. If you want to find out more about Rob, please visit our website, mindfulness-center.com. And Rob does offer free 10-minute consults if you're interested, but schedule it now because he's booking up. I'll tell you. All right. Until next time, take care.